Hey, good afternoon, butterflies. It is a beautiful day. It is Thursday, November 15th, 2018. It is a beautiful day. I want to share and celebrate my birthday with you. And so I wanted to give you a word of encouragement on this very day. That's right, you heard it right. I am celebrating 43 years, and I wanted to share that with you. And so, butterflies, let me just give you a little testimony. That is last week. I was going through some things with school, and just the work was just getting a little difficult. I'm pursuing my PhD, and God had really blessed me. God has blessed me to be in a position where I am and pursuing this degree. And so it is on a different level. And so on a different level requires a different mode of operation, a different mode of thinking, and a different mode of writing. And even in conversation, it's just everything is different. It requires a higher level. Let me put it that way. Not just different, but that different has to be higher and deeper. And so I've been challenged in that area of going deeper. And so, but to God be the glory. God has just amazed me in this process. And all of last week, God has been confirming not only what am I in the right place, but God also confirmed God's favor upon me. And God gave me 7 days of confirmation, whether it was in conversation from the sermon on Sunday, a sermon on last Friday, and a sermon again on the Sunday. To complete the 7 days, it was 7 days of nonstop, where God confirmed in me that you are in the place where you are supposed to be, because God planted me there. And not only that, but there's something specific that God said in that, and that is quitting is not an option. And so today, on my birthday, I want to encourage you, butterflies. Quitting is not an option. That's right. Quitting is not an option. Well, we had the election about 2 weeks ago now, or a week ago now. And so here in Florida, we're going through some things. We're going through a recount of the ballots. And I thought when the word came, it was dealing with the election, but it was not. It was for me and for you, to let you know that quitting is not an option. And I said, okay, God, well, let me go ahead and can I tie it in with the election just a little bit? And God said, okay, go ahead and dab in it. And so here's something that came to mind. Some of us have not even put ourselves on the ballot. Some of us have not even put ourselves on the ballot. Let me say that again. I had a friend of mine who wrote a book, a sister of mine who wrote a book. I voted for me and I won. And that meant that if you voted for yourself and you won, that meant that quitting was not an option. That meant that quitting was not on her ballot. And so you ought to get that book. I just want to put that plug in for Levita Whitfield, that you ought to get that book, I Voted for Me and I Won. But how many of you have taken yourself off of the ballot? And I want to encourage you, quitting is not an option. Quitting is not a part of your process. Quitting is not a part of God's plan for you. God's plan is always to prosper his people. God's plan is always to take you to that expected end, which is your expected end, my expected end, our expected end. Always has a victory sign at the end, whereas we all are winners and we win. However, it takes that grind in order to win. It's going to take us pushing through the process. And to God be the glory for the words that came through last week, through sermon after sermon, that you're going to have to go through some places. You're going to have to go through some deserts. You're going to have to go through some dry spells. But as I preached before, endure the process. Push through that process, because it's in the process that we're being refined and defined. It's in that process where we're evolving into our greatness and into the greater that God has for us. And so I challenged myself. I committed myself. Actually, I told my church on Sunday, I'm going to commit to the process. Now, I know my process for this degree is going to take some time. It's going to take about 5 years for this PhD degree. However, I'm committing to this process because I know that at the end, God is going to give me the victory. So I chose to commit. I chose to endure. So I know I still have some tears I'm going to cry. I know I'm still going to have some days where I'm just going to want to throw in the towel. But I tell you what, when God placed in my spirit, when I got back, when my back got pushed to the wall, and I really felt like, oh, I don't have to do this. I have 2 master's degrees. I have a bachelor's degree. I have 2 master's degrees. I'm in an honor society. I don't need this. But God said, but this is the place I put you. And so I don't want to neglect or abort the place where God planted me, where I know that there's even greater of God's blessings and the fullness of God's blessings there. And so quitting is not a part of the option. Quitting is not a part of my vocabulary. Quitting is not on my ballot. But guess who's on my ballot? That's right, me. And so I encourage you today, butterflies, that whatever you're in pursuit of, the place where God placed you, push through the process. Push through the process. Everything is not going to come easy, and it's not made to be easy. Everything is not going to come in its perfection the way that we want it to happen, but it's going to be in the best way that it's supposed to happen. So appreciate the process. Allow the process to grow you. Allow the process to deepen you. Allow the process to expand you. And accept it. And when we accept it, also commit to it. And when we commit to it, you watch God move. You watch the favor of God on your life. And so the words that have been spoken to me last week, I share with you. I see greatness on you. I see greater on you. That's right. There's greater on you. There's greatness. There's so much more. There's so much to be shared. There's so much to share with the world. There's so much. So step up in your greater. Come on, butterflies. Commit to the works. Commit to the process. Quitting is not an option. I know you may have tried that test over and over. Yeah. You may have tried to publish that book over and over. You may have tried to start that business over and over. But if God planted it in you, so many times I've said this, if God has planted that in you, then you see it through. Watch God work. Watch God move. Victory is how your story will end. And so, butterflies, today, November 15th, 2018, whenever you play this message, whoever you share it with, let them know that today, this day, November 15th, 2018, that you have committed to your process, that you're going to see it through, and that quitting is no longer a part of your vocabulary of quitting on you and quitting on what God has gifted you to do. God bless you, butterflies. I love you, and have a great butterfly day.